When I was first called to work with Aphrodite, I wasn't really sure. It's like, Aphrodite? Really? I grew up really interested in Artemis and Athena, and honestly, like, working with Athena makes sense for me because I'm in grad school for library sciences. What other Greek goddess comes to mind besides Athena for that, right? And I respect Aphrodite, but I've never felt called to her. That's not kind of like my cup of tea. And I was just kind of like, isn't it kind of a little silly to work with the goddess of love? Maybe not silly, but like a little superficial, you know? Like, love is nice and all, but like, do I need to work with the goddess of love? And yes, I am the unluckiest when it comes to romantic relationships, but still, isn't it a little superficial? Well, Aphrodite showed up to tell me that I was wrong. And also, obviously, love isn't silly or superficial. It's an integral part to the human experience. And there's nothing wrong with seeking to bring more into your life. The timing wasn't random when Aphrodite came into my life at all. It was a really, really heartbreaking summer for me. It was the hardest summer I've had in my adult life, probably. And I've had some not really fun summers. At the same time, however, I had started therapy and started doing a lot of shadow work to deal with some deep-rooted issues and behaviors that I really had never really acknowledged or dealt with. It was a really hard summer, but ultimately it was an important one and it made me a lot stronger, but it still really sucked to get through. But thankfully, Aphrodite was there to help me through it and help me with that growth that I needed. Working with Aphrodite helped ease the pain, accept the things that I really didn't want to, and start believing in myself. Aphrodite is a goddess of love and beauty, but she's so much more than many people perceive her as. Of course, love and beauty are very important things, but love is not just romance, it's familial love, it's friends, it's self-love. And she is beautiful and the goddess of beauty, but beyond the superficial beauty, she encourages us to find the beauty in every day and in the things that we love and in ourselves. She's also a goddess of war, a part that has been diminished over time, but in that aspect, she is a goddess of fighting for her passions, and she encourages you to fight for your passions. Because of her, I learned to fight for the things and the people that I love, when beforehand I would have just given up. I started believing that I did deserve love and beauty and good things. Because of her, I started loving myself in new ways that I never had before. And I didn't dislike myself beforehand, to be clear, and I wasn't full of self-loathing, but I did doubt myself a lot, and I didn't think that I was worth fighting for. In my spell work, I always joked that my spells that I do for my friends work amazing. They come out with results I didn't even expect, like amazing results. But for me, not so much. And part of that, actually a big part of that, is because I believe in my friends and I know that they deserve these good things. And even if they don't need these things, they deserve them. And it would be really nice to have in their lives. Whereas spells for me, I was only really successful in them when I really, really needed it. Because, like, I don't need this extra cash. I can get by without it. But my friend needs this extra cash. Or my friend deserves, like, a little extra spending money to, you know, have a fun weekend. Aphrodite and therapy and shadow work. It all started at the same time, so they're very intertwined for me. But they all taught me that I deserve these things too. I don't need to need them, just I deserve them too. And while my spells don't work all of the time for myself, still like 100% success rate for my friends, but I do still have my moments of doubt. My spells for myself work a lot more than they used to, so we're getting there. With Aphrodite, I feel like I've finally come into my own power. I stand up for myself when I need to, instead of grinning and bearing it like I used to. I also don't hold back emotions, which is interesting to say because I have bipolar disorder, so I can get explosive. But I mean, I used to hold back the good emotions, didn't tell friends how much I cared about them, didn't share when I was really happy about stuff, because I didn't want that, to get shattered. And with my work with Aphrodite, I have started to open up about being happy about things, about loving people, about these things in my future that I'm really excited about, instead of holding them close to my chest so that nobody can ruin them. I've also come to better understand myself in my work with Aphrodite and re-examine things about myself that I've always held to be true and maybe aren't. For example, it turns out my stance of never wanting children was a rebellion against the Catholic Church that I grew up in. From mostly my extended family, not really my immediate family, but my extended family and the church. I was raised with the expectation that because I am woman, I have to have children. I have been told by one of my aunts that it is my God-given duty to have children. And me, being who I am, of course I rebelled against that. And so in the last couple of years, since I really started walking this path, I've been re-examining that, and Aphrodite really helped with that. And it turns out, children would be nice. A family would be nice. It's still not like a high priority in my life, but if it happened, that would be good. But without working with Aphrodite, I would have never actually uncovered that, probably, because my rebellion against the Catholic Church is so strong. And courage. Aphrodite has given me courage. I still have a lot of anxiety about taking action, but I have the courage to do them, especially when they're really important to me. And the more important something is to me, the more anxiety I have about it. So I'm really proud of myself for finding that courage to do those things. And I'm proud of myself every single time I do one of those things that I have a lot of really bad anxiety about because they're really important for me. So again, I just feel like in my work with Aphrodite, I've come into my power and said, screw you to anxiety, and I'm gonna do this anyway. Recently, I was feeling really disconnected to spirituality and my craft, and I was really just going through the motions and not really putting in the heart work, the soul work for them. And there were reasons for this. I actually blame a lot of it on having to work this summer and just being stuck in the mundane world and expending all my energy on a job. I know, but like, bear with me. I just want to get back to my classes. But my job was really physically demanding, and it took me a really long time to recover from that constantly spending of energy. And in the meantime, I was just going through the motions, and one day I was even like, I don't remember the last time I did a spell, like any spell, any old spell, especially for myself, but just in general. And I was like, I don't like this, but what can I do? Like, I've been like, I'll pull tarot cards, but it's always about like the same thing, and I'm just like not feeling it. And I would set up my altar for Aphrodite, and she gets fresh roses every week, and I never stopped doing the fresh roses, but it was just like, place them on the altar, maybe light a candle, and not really put any heart into it. I had this realization, and I was just like, I don't like this, but I don't know what to do about it, especially as I'm still working. I've only got a couple of weeks left, and I'm really, really excited about that. because then classes start again and I don't have to work and I can focus on content more. But anyway, I asked Aphrodite, I sat down with my tarot cards and I asked Aphrodite, what should I do to refine my spirituality? Like, it wasn't gone, but reconnect with it. She actually said, like, work on my passions. That's really what she said. She was like, follow your passions. What do you want to do? It was like, I want to get back to working on my content creation. I hadn't made a video in a while. I hadn't really done anything besides the podcast that I'm on. So she was like, follow your passions and do what feels right in the moment. Like, follow through on what you're inspired by. Don't worry about, like, following every single idea to completion, but, like, do what inspires you right now and follow that until you're not inspired anymore, and then do the next thing that you're inspired by, and that will lead you back. She specifically said, go back to my creative projects. So, me being a Capricorn, I made a whole list of things to do every day to get me back to reconnecting. It was like 30 minutes of meditation and at least 30 minutes of reading a book and like 30 minutes of journaling and shadow work. This whole thing. And like the whole point was to stop sitting at my computer playing Minecraft for 6 hours a day until I have to go to work, which I was doing, again, feeling disconnected, disassociating in Minecraft. But that was the whole point, to break up my day into like these blocks to do stuff that brings me back to my spirituality. So, very Capricorn thing to do. I know, but you know what else? The next day, I woke up so inspired and have not done that list at all. I mean, I've done things on that list, but like not intentionally because it's the list. But I woke up so inspired the next day. That's when I made the Book of Shadows page the other day. And I have just been going since. Like, I've made a few pages in my Book of Shadows and I am prepping for more. And I've just been like, I have actually, like, I've been using my tarot cards and pendulum a lot more and not just like to go through the motions. I like really took time to redecorate Aphrodite's altar and like make sure everything was right where I wanted it and like give a devotion to her and give fresh offerings, not just the flowers, but other things as well. And all I had to do was ask. I just had to ask her, how do I feel my passions again? Because my spirituality is one of my passions. Sometimes you just have to ask, and that's a big lesson for me, asking for what I need and what I want. And that's not something I really did before. So this has been my past year and a day with Aphrodite. Specifically, a year and a day is a common, from what I've read, a common length of devotion to a deity to see if you want to keep working with them in the future. Or maybe you just need them for that year and a day. Maybe you want a short-term relationship with them and you both at the end of it feel like that's it and you go your separate ways. No hard feelings. So it's kind of like a trial period or just deliberately just a year and a day. With no expectations beyond that. So I have been working with Aphrodite for a year and a day. And if you can't tell by everything I've said in this video, I'm going to continue working with her. My life has been so enriched and improved this past year. And I know it's not all Aphrodite's doing because I have put in a lot of work myself, but she has helped me through it and she has inspired me to do a lot of it. And I just want to keep that going throughout my life. And I'm really excited to continue building this relationship with her and to continue just bringing that love into my life. So a year and a day, and then more. This has been a very personal story video, obviously, but a lot of this is just, if you take it down to its general bare bones, that's stuff that you can expect when you work with Aphrodite. So if you're interested in working with her, if any of this sounds like it's good, I would recommend looking into her. Of course, you might be like, well, that sounds good and this sounds good, but this part of her doesn't sound good. She can be really jealous and impatient. So, if I've been late with her flowers, she lets me know. You might look into her and be like, well, maybe not. You can do a year and a day like I did. But if any of this sounds really good and what you need to bring into your life, I recommend at least checking her out and seeing if she might be a deity for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. What aspect of working with Aphrodite would you be most interested in? And what deity are you, if any, interested in working with? I want to know. I know, like, Hecate is really popular right now. Loki's always popular. I want to know who you all are working with at the moment, just because I'm curious. So leave a comment below. And of course, a like goes such a long way. A like and a comment goes such a long way in helping this channel grow. If you want to see more witchy content from me, just subscribe and I will have more videos up soon, especially since the semester is starting and I can quit my job. And I have all my social links down below, including the Celestial Cafe podcast, which is a twice monthly podcast that I do with some other lovely co-hosts. And you can find all that information down below. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, magical day.